So then you can add dryer, right? But I really want and need you to understand how loans work. The province wants you to understand it. I really would like you to understand it as well, because you are probably gonna sign for a loan at some point in life. Do you remember in grade 11 doing loan payments, calculating in grade 11? You had some table, you had to go find a number, plugged it in. Remember that? No, not taxes. It was just loan payments.
Yeah, that's all
Credit cards, compound interest, simple interest. So I'm going to draw on some of that. Okay. And if you're sitting there and being like, I forgot everything, it's like, don't worry about it. We'll catch you up. Okay. Here we go. Couple of highlighters. Good idea. I'm going to do this. I think this is going to help it stick a bit more. Okay? I don't use my whiteboard a whole lot, but here it is. When you take out a loan, let's say this is the bar representing your loan, right? So let's say you borrow, how much do you want to borrow? 20 grand? 5,000? Okay. You're conservative. Okay. 5,000. So the bank says, here you go, 5,000, you buy whatever you want, right? When you pay that back, the 5,000, let's say it takes you 5 years to pay it back, you're going to pay back 5,000 plus a little something that they would like to tack on because they got to make money, right? That's called what? Starts with an I. Interest, yes. Let's put red on it because we don't like it. Interest. So, but they will tell you, hey, your payment, over, let's say 5 years, is going to be, let's say $450. No, that's too much. It'd probably be more like $90 a month. I'm just making stuff up here, but it's roughly $90 a month. Okay. So your payment over 5 years, $90 a month. So you make every month, you make $90 payments. At the end of the day, right, you will have paid back the $5,000 loan plus the interest that they charged you, right? And you're like, well, how does that work? Well, I'll tell you this, guys. Every single payment, some of that goes towards paying off your loan, and some of that goes straight into their pockets. Every month. Some of it, they split it in the background. You don't see it. They take some to pay off your loan, and some of it goes towards interest. So let's say, just to simplify things, they would take 70, pay off your loan, and then they would take 20, right? Because you paid them 90. The other 20 would go towards the interest, the cost of borrowing. Okay, so that's what I'm going to explore today. How does that all connect, right? So you've got to understand the loan is often called the principal. Does that ring a bell? Have you heard that word? It's not our principal, it's the principal here, right? So principal is like that main amount you borrowed, and then you pay some interest. It also works with savings, right? You could be saving. You could be like, hey, I have $5,000 that I would like to put in my savings. Over time, it will gain some interest. So it's also a good thing when it's gaining interest, right? So that's what I'm going to explore, and I'm going to try my best to make that very clear after today. Okay? So here we go. You ready? The total principal is the amount of loan there. Thank you. Total principal is the amount of loan. This is on page 24, if you're still wondering. The amount of loan you were given by the bank. This needs to be repaid in full and can be called, I'm going to use green here, right? We call it the loan or total principal. So just pick a color, and then every time there's loan or principal, we're going to stick with that one. Total interest. This is we call it the finance charge or the cost of borrowing. They can be used interchangeably. The cost of borrowing, the finance charge, right? We call this total interest. I call this, or we call this, TI in this course, I mean, right? Total interest is TI. The total paid to the bank is the sum of the total principal and the total interest. So if you combine these two amounts, that's the total paid to the bank. I call that TPB, right? I'm going to use orange for it. Okay. All right. So here's another visual for you. Total paid to the bank, right? TPB, right? So everything you pay back the bank will be the total principal, which is also the loan, right? That part is in green. And the total interest, right? Which I use pink for it, right? So that's the TI. TP, sorry, it can all be used interchangeably, right? And there you have it. So I hope that makes sense, right? This is your loan, that's the interest. All together, that's what you will be paying the bank at the end of the day. Let's move on. Monthly payment. So now we're going to zoom into just one payment. The monthly payment I call PMT. Your bank will determine this monthly payment, which stays fixed. I'm going to use a different highlighter just to tell you this stays fixed until the loan is repaid in full. So once you sign a piece of paper, that's in some place on that paper, it will say this is your monthly payment. Go ahead. The payment is blended, which means that part is interest, part is principal. See the illustration below. To distinguish the monthly principal called lowercase p, right? While the monthly interest is called lowercase I. Okay. So here we go. This is your, what did I do? This is just lowercase p plus lowercase I. These two components make up your payment. Okay. You got to make sure you understand that. I'm going to leave it like that for now. The term, okay, it's the time it takes to pay off the loan. Most banks will allow up to 5 years for used vehicles, 7 for new vehicles. Okay. Interest rate is what we use the letter R. That's the posted interest rate, which is charged as a percentage, and you convert it to a decimal by dividing by 100. So watch this. If the rate is 5.75 per year, we need to convert that to a decimal, right? So we divide that by 100. I think you all know that already, but I don't want you to round, okay? We do not use percentages in our calculation. We divide it by 100 to get it into a decimal. That's very important. Okay. I'm trying my best, guys. I wish I would be a bit more entertaining, but I don't think you want to see me dancing or anything like that. I really don't. All right. You can't unsee that. All right, here, page 25.
understanding interest. Interest is essentially the penalty for paying a loan back over longer periods of time. It is also referred to as finance charge. You're repeating yourself, Mr. Dirksen, I know. A lot of people don't care or think about the interest paid as long as they can afford that payment. And I'm in that boat too. I basically, it's like, hey, I want this car. How much is my monthly payment? $500 a month. It's a bit tight, but I think I can make it, right? And then you just go with it because you don't really have a choice. But I want you to understand how that works. So here we go. And this is where highlighters come in again. I'll minimize actually. But follow me here. Let's assume we buy a car for $12,000. That's what the price is of the car. After everything is in, 12 grand we need. But we saved up $2,000 as a down payment. Okay? We will finance $10,000, right, over 12 months at 6%. Okay? Make sure the 10% is highlighted. The 10,000, what am I saying here? 10,000. Okay? Over 12 months at 6%. What does that word mean? Per annum, that is per year. Our monthly payment would be $860.66 per month. I used an online calculator. You can do the same. I won't show you right now, but I'll bring my iPad later on and show you how to do that. Fill in the following. So total paid to the bank, right? How much will you have paid the bank over the 12 months? Well, 12 months worth of payments of $860.66, right? You made 12 payments, so let's see what that is. How much? Did you go 12 times?
Yeah.
12 times this? Should be 10,000.
Oh, 66 of there. 327.
10,327. 92 cents, which makes sense, right? We pay back a little bit more than what we borrowed, okay? Total principal paid, well, there's no calculation here. It's just the $10,000. Okay, there it is again. I'm highlighting it the same color as the what I wanted to finance in the beginning. What's the total interest that I've paid in this case? This is actually fairly easy to figure out. Okay, I'm going to go 10,327.92 minus my loan, my original loan, and that'd be 327.92. Okay, so this is the total interest I will have paid over 1 year, which isn't even that bad. This is pretty good because you paid it off fairly quickly, right? Let's see if you can follow me here. If I take longer to pay off a loan, am I going to pay more interest? Yes? The answer is yes. The longer you take, the more interest you're going to pay, because they need to lend you that money for a longer period of time. It's going to depreciate, right? So they need to make sure the longer it takes, the more interest you're going to pay. That's just a fact. Your payments are going to go down, but you're still going to pay more overall. So remember that. Okay. Total paid to the bank. We had total principal 10,000, and the total interest was 327.92. We're going to soon do math, guys. We're actually going to solve some problems. Okay. So total paid to the bank, let's just write that up here, is that, right? That amount. And that is the breakdown of what happened, right? We paid the 10 grand back, and the 327 is the interest. Okay, now let's zoom into the first payment. Your monthly payment, $860. 66 cents. That's given to me. And this is new. This is going to be new. Interest paid on the first month's payment. Okay. You got to use this formula. I equals PRT. I think you remember that. It should ring a bell at least. So what's capital P? Capital P is actually this number right here. So we're going to go 10,000 times the interest rate. And the interest rate is 6%, right? So I got to go 0.06. And time, guys, always has to be in years for this formula. Do you remember that from last year? So if it's just 1 month, then it's 1/12 of a year. You have to put it like that. If it's just 1 month, then it's 1/12 of a year. So this is stated in years now. Let's calculate that. You grab your calculator. 10,000 times 0.06. And what now, Mr. Jackson? What do I do with that? That's kind of weird. You go times 1, which doesn't change anything. Then you divide it by 12. $50. Yeah. In this case, it's an exact value, right? So get this, guys. Your first payment is $860. $50 goes in their pocket. And so the principal portion is going to be what's left over. So watch this. You go 860, 66 minus 50. Take away the interest. And that is 810, 66. Okay, so that is the principal portion. That is the interest portion of your payment. So let's put the 50 in this box because I like you to have a visual. And the 810, 66 goes in there. Together, they make that payment of 860, 66. So there, it's all connected, guys. It's all connected. You add these two up to give you that. If you go payment minus the interest, you get the principal. If you go payment minus principal, you get the interest. Okay, so it's all connected. All right, let's keep going. Look at this next page. It's going to be super fun, guys. I'm not going to talk about this too much here because I know your brains are probably, they're a bit fried already. But do you recall an amortization table? Do you recall making those? Okay, this is basically generated with an Excel spreadsheet. So you start with 10,000. And watch this. This is what we just calculated, right? Interest, principal, and then what happens to the interest every month? What happens to it? It gets smaller, smaller, smaller. At the end, it's just 428. And so therefore, the principal goes up, right? As time goes by. But what never changes is that if you were to add the principal and the interest, it would always add up to 860, 66, right? So these two numbers always add up to that amount. So the payment stays fixed. This is what happens in the background. And this is just me trying to make that point, right? So if every bar represents a payment, the interest and the principal portion, right, change every month. And so the interest gets less and less, the principal goes higher. Okay, that's it. I'm done with explaining. Let's go to the formulas. Let's go to the formulas here. This is important. You need to have this on your study sheet. Go ahead. study sheet. So we have the price after tax. This is on page 27. So loan would be the price after tax minus any down payment that has been saved up for. 10 more minutes. So you'll have some time left over. 10, 12 minutes. Just give me that and you'll be fine. The monthly payment, this is what I use to denote payment. So just payment is equal to copy paste. I'm copying and pasting this part. Right? You take the price minus the down, and this is where it's a little different. There's a table rate. Make sure you write table rate, not just rate, because some students later on think it's interest rate. Nope. And this part, make sure you write that down, is what we call the loan. That's still true. And that's very important to figure that out. Okay. And I will show you that table later on. Total paid to the bank, I hope that rings a bell. Total paid to the bank is simply your payment, your monthly payment, times 12 months, times the number of years. All of our payments are going to be monthly, so we can confidently state that it's 12 months there. So if you make a certain amount of payment every month over 12 months, that would be 1 year worth of payments, and then you multiply that by 5, let's say, if you're making those over 5 years. Total interest on a loan, watch this, TI is payment times 12 months. It's copy paste actually what I just did, times years. But this is the kicker. You don't want to just know what you paid the bank, you want to know how much interest you paid them. So you subtract the loan from it. Okay. So this part is still considered total paid to the bank. So if you don't want to have this formula, just make sure that when you enter this into your study sheet, you call this portion total paid to the bank. So if it just asks you for that, you just take this part. But if it asks for total interest, you want to figure this out and subtract the loan from it. Okay. Interest paid on the first month, underline, highlight, that is this one. I equals loan times interest rate divided by 100. And what did I do earlier? Remember that 1 over 12? So what I will do here for you is I'll just go divide it by 12. That's how you figure out how much interest was paid on that first month payment only, not the total. This is lowercase I. The principal paid on the first month, you would just go principal lowercase p is just payment minus lowercase I. So whatever you get out of this answer, just subtract it from the payment and boom, you get the principal part. Okay. Total paid for the car. This is rare, but it has happened. So total paid for the car, you go down payment plus TPB. In other words, down plus payment times 12 months times years. Like if you want to know how much did I actually pay for this car, well, you paid the down payment plus everything you paid the bank. Okay? So make sure these formulas are down. Double check, make sure you got everything right. You didn't forget 100 here. Gotta make sure, can I just say something here? For some reason, students turn this into 100 instead of 1,000. And you get like a ridiculous payment. It's like 6,700 a month or something like that. Hey, maybe if you get a Tesla, maybe that's how much it is. But just make sure you get that 1,000 because I will show you where that comes from. So no homework after today. The only homework will be add this to your study sheet, these formulas. These formulas, the exact same ones with some variation, I use for home finance later on. That's why I allow you to use up more space for this unit, okay? Maybe you can do that right after I'm done with this example here. Come with me to page 28. You remember this table, something like this? Some of you, others, like if you took math first semester last year, you're probably like, I don't know, right? Maybe. So let me talk financing here. You need to borrow a total of $31,500 to buy a new car. Okay? This is including taxes. It's a new car, but that doesn't matter right now because we're talking financing. So it's a 5-year loan, highlight that, at an interest rate of 3.5%. And in this case, they flat out tell you there's no down payment. You need to know which formula to use when. Okay, so here we go. What's the monthly payment? Well, here we go. Payment is price minus down times table rate over 100. I'm waiting for it. You should tell me no, 1,000, right? Yeah, okay, it's 1,000. So we'll just go payment is equal to the price that you're purchasing it for. There is no down payment, so we're going to go minus 0 for this example. And here's the kicker. This is the important part. You will always be given a table of some sort. So watch this. So you're going to go 3.5%. You're going to find the interest rate along this side. And in this case, it's right there. I'm going to circle it. Right? That is right there. And at the top of this table, you have the years, right? How long it will take you. So in this case, it's 5 years. So I gotta circle the 5. And when you have those two determined, you just slide over and match where they cross. And that is the rate in this particular case that you want to take. So 1819 is what goes in here. And now I need to explain why it is per 1,000, or why is it over 1,000. Read this table at the top. It says monthly payment per $1,000 of loan, right? So you're paying $18.19 for every $1,000 you borrow. So here we go. 31,500, 1819 over 1,000. I encourage you to type this into your calculators. 31,500 times 18.19 divided by 1,000. Make sure the answer is reasonable. So it's 572.99 per month. Don't add taxes to finances, okay, to this payment. Like when the bank gives you a payment, the taxes have already been applied, right? Like you already know how much you're going to owe in total. You're just now going to the bank to borrow the money to pay that. So this should not be taxed, right? In fact, a lot of students will be tempted to tax this. 99% of the time, the price that I give you is already including all taxes. Like it's not, you're not going to have to worry about doing that yet on top of everything else. Okay. Just read carefully. I'm going to stop there. Don't worry about anything below this. Just take the time now to maybe add it to your study sheet, right? Just go financing or loan, and then just add the formulas to your study sheet. And we'll continue tomorrow with this. No AC on this tomorrow.